Hey, I saw my friend reading some sort of notes on sampling methods. Could you explain to me what it's about?
Wondering what sampling methods are? To make it easier for you to understand, let me give you a situation. National Junior College needs to pick 50 students for an interview about the school. Now, how do we go about picking these 50 people among the school population? We can use sampling methods. There are two types of sampling methods: probability or non-probability. Simple random sampling, systematic sampling, and stratified sampling are forms of probability sampling methods, where the samples, or students in our given situation, are selected in a random manner, while quota sampling, convenience sampling, judgment sampling, and snowball sampling come under non-probability sampling, where the students are chosen in a non-random manner. Probability sampling allows us to estimate the sampling error, which is the difference between the students and the school's population values. This allows us to determine whether the opinion reflected in the interview is reliable and accurate of our inference to the rest of the student body. While in non-probability sampling, the sampling error is unknown, and we cannot gauge how reliable and accurate our inferences are to the school population. Let us discuss the four sampling methods now. Firstly, we need sampling frames. In this case, the sampling frame is the name list of the whole school. Everyone in the school is eligible for this interview about the school. Now we also need to know what a random sample is. In this case, everyone in the school has an equal chance of getting selected.
For simple random sampling, the standard picking of people is through balloting. 50 names will be picked out, and the names picked out does the interview. Everyone will be given a number from 1 to the total number of people in the school. If the school has 3,000 people, then give everyone a number from 1 to 3,000. Use number generator or any other program like the famous random.org to pick out a number. Number of people chosen does the interview. This method is good because you do not need to research on any knowledge about the school population, except that you need to know the school's updated population number and updated name list should also be present. This method is also not biased since the selection is totally random and everyone has an equal chance of getting picked for the interview. However, there are limitations to this method. If the school population is too large, like with a population number of 10,000, then it might be difficult to find the contact of the person chosen. Not only that, the person picked may be biased against the school, thus giving negative feedback about the school during the interview, but this may not be the opinion of the root of the school.
Systematic sampling. Some teachers prefer to pick a representative from each class to do the interview, assuming we have 50 classes. Systematic sampling is when a teacher chooses a certain index number, for example, index number 5 from each class to do the interview. But assume we don't have a class yet. We first have to arrange the students in a particular order, maybe by their L1, L5 scores, and divide this whole chunk of students into 50 classes. Then we randomly select a number, for example, 5. So the fifth person from 14SH01, 14SH02, 14SH03, etc. goes for the interview. We have to make sure that the number chosen is random though, and systematic sampling can only be used when the population is homogeneous. And again, the school's name list and population number should always be updated. The good points about this is that opinions gathered from the interviews are more spread out across the population. Opinions from all classes of all levels. It is also easy to pick people for the interview. For this case, all the admin staff has to do is to pick a random number. The bad points are that the information gathered from the interview may be a little biased. If the class name list is in order of gender, which means girls first then boys, and if a register number of 1 is picked, and assuming all the classes have at least one girl, then all the interviewees would be girls. Information gathered from interviews will be a bit inaccurate. In this case, we are able to arrange the students in some orderly manner. However, in other situations, it's not always possible to arrange people in some order, especially if the population size is too big.
Conduct stratified sampling. Instead of putting the students in classes, we divide the students into non-overlapping groups, like genders or age groups. Then calculate the proportionate number of people from each group to do the interview. For example, if we put the students in age groups, if there are 300 people who are 13 years old and the total population size is 3,000, then the proportionate number of people from the age group of 13 years would be 300 over 3,000 times 50, which is the number of people required for the interview, equals to 5 students from age group of 13 years old. Then randomly pick the 5 people from this age group by random sampling. The benefits of using stratified sampling is that opinions gathered from the interviews are more spread out across the population. The opinions from different age groups are gathered, and it is also proportionate to the total school population. All groups are also exclusive of each other, they never overlap, so it is easier to do research on that one certain group. However, it may be difficult to choose a proper group to group the students. It is also time-consuming as you have to put students into non-overlapping groups and calculate the proportion of students for each group, and other researches have to be made before conducting the interview.
Quota sampling. Conducting quota sampling, which is similar to strata sampling, where you group people to non-overlapping groups. However, for quota sampling, the people picked for the interview are not random, and the number of people picked from each group may not be proportionate to the other categories in the population. Firstly, we have to group people into non-overlapping groups. We'll be using their age groups, followed by deciding how many people from each age group we want for the interview. After which, we select the number of people from the groups based on the quota set. For example, 2 people that are 13 years old and are in performing arts CCAs only, 3 people who are 17 years old and are in sports CCAs only, etc. Make sure groups do not overlap and be exhaustive. The number of people to select from each group also has to be clearly stated in quota sampling, though the numbers are not proportionate with respect to the population. Quota sampling is good, as the cost of conducting quota sampling is low. We can choose people for the interview faster, and it does not require a sampling frame. It is bad, as it is not really a good representation of the school as a whole as compared to the other sampling methods. The people chosen are not random, and thus it is difficult to assess the sampling error. The method is biased, as the interviewers may choose people who have a better experience in the school to be interviewed to give the school a better reputation.
I see. Thank you.